What's up, everybody? I've got a 1998 Acura Integra LS. I've had the car for over 14 years, and as you guys can see, I have still got the stock stereo system. CD player does not work. The radio does, but as you also can see, there is no USB, no inputs, auxiliary, Bluetooth. Really, I don't listen to it at all, and I decided to upgrade it. And the stereo that I'm going to put in is an Alpine, show you that real quick, CDE 143BT, and I've watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and try to do it myself. I thought I would document the progress along the way, so anyone else who wants to buy a stereo, take out their stock unit, they can watch this. I'm going to do a step-by-step, talk about all the tools, the parts needed. And this initial video is taking out the original, and once I get that out, I'll continue the video in another part on how to put it in and everything. So stick with me and we'll get this taken out. Alright guys, I have another Integra that I've also done the repairs on, and I wanted to kind of show real quick what everything is going to look like with all the parts removed before install. So what we're going to take out today, this is what you're going to look like. You're going to be left with your plug-in that goes to your adapter for your new stereo, and then I believe this is an antenna, and that's going to also plug in. So these two things are from the stock system are going to plug in, so you're going to see those and have to mess with those. You're going to push that to get it out of the back of the thing of your stock radio. This also, for me, it was tucked in. You guys can probably see this. It's the wire is tucked in behind this steel bar, so I can only pull it so far. So I had to take some little mini pliers and just kind of pull it out. It was a little testy to get that out, to get the system out of it. So there's the hole that we're going to have, and then as you look down, you're going to see that the console, or the around the gear shift, the knob is also missing, and as we come back, you'll see that the entire console is gone. So everything has to pretty much come out in order to get the stock unit out. And I'm going to show you all the pieces that came out of this car, the screws, which tools to use, and then I'm going to go over to the other car and take everything apart. So hopefully everyone will have a couple different views and have a real good idea of an easy process to get everything done in a timely fashion. So here we go. Alright guys, the tools I'm going to use to take out the center console stuff to get the stock radio out, basically you're just going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, and this is going to come in handy, and the size is important. A smaller 8mm socket wrench, and this is going to save you a ton of time and really help you get the stock stereo out. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Also, I use my Swiss Army knife, but really you just need a small little pry bar. Nothing crazy, but these three tools are all you're really going to need to remove it. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. I have the parts all laid out, and I'm going to talk about how many screws and bolts hold everything in and where everything goes. And then when I take apart the other one, you'll kind of see also. So the first thing you're going to want to take out is the armrest, and the only thing that's holding that in is 4 bolts. The first 2 bolts are going to look like this, and they take the Phillips head screwdriver, and the screw is going to go right there. So on both sides, you're going to take the Phillips head to both sides. Next, on the same armrest, you're going to see inside where your change stuff is this little clip. At that point, you'll want to take, that's the little pry bar, and there's a little spot there'll be a little spot that you can stick this into right there, and then it'll pop out. Once that pops out, you'll see that these two bolts will be exposed. They will be sitting inside here. They're actually going to go through this one and also this piece of the stick shift console. So then you'll remove these two bolts, so that's 4 bolts. The only tool you'll need is the Phillips head. At that point, which I'll show when I take it off, you'll pull this up and away and you'll be able to get this entire thing out. So that's 4 bolts. The next thing you'll probably want to do is you'll simply just use your finger to press this down. This is the cigarette tray. Press that down and it just pulls out, so you don't need any tools for that. After that, you've got the cigarette lighter. Of course, this is upside down. So you've got the cigarette lighter, and the way to remove that, there is 2 bolts. And the place where we're looking at it this way, you'll get the screwdriver, and there's a bolt there, a screw there, and a screw there. You just use the Phillips head. And anyway, it's pretty basic. All you do is take the Phillips head screwdriver and you'll get those both off of that piece off of there. I guess that's where the screws come out, right there. There you go. So once you pull the ashtray out, you'll look back. So just take those out. I will say, make sure that these little clips right here on the top, there's 2 of them, these little clips, so make sure they may pop off. These clips, so make sure you don't lose them. So there's that. Now after that, you're going to want to unscrew your shift knob. And at that point, we're only looking at, there'll be so this is the gear shift. There's a place right here also for a Phillips head. So there's 1 here and only 1 on the other side. And also, there's also, so this Phillips head screw, there's 2 of them. Will go right in here. So 1 there, and 1 there, so there's 2. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And at that point, once you take this off, you will be able to remove this. And then you will have access to try to get the stereo out. So this piece, this little piece, this piece, with just a pry bar and a screwdriver, you should be able to get all of these things out. In order to get, let's see, here's the head unit, and it's going to be sitting in as you're used to seeing it. Once you get all those parts out, you can probably lie on your back across the seat and look up, and what you're going to look for is 2 screws, and these are a pain to get to because you only have limited space with your hand. They're also, which I'm going to show, some very sharp metal back there, but these screws are what are holding the stereo to the little metal frame inside the car. And once you get this off, you'll be able to just slide out this unit. The tool that you're going to use, as I said before, is this a very smallish extension. And when you're lying on your back there, you're going to be able to get that on there and probably not have a lot of room, but you'll be able to work these loose. So these 2 those two bolts, lying on my back in an awkward position, having to look up to see them, was the most difficult part. I tried the wrong tools, like a little screwdriver, and once I got this, it was much easier. So that's all the parts that are going to come out. Here we go. We're at the back part of the armrest. We're going to take this old screw out. So there's one. Alright, so there's your two bolts. Sorry about the sun. The sun comes up as soon as I try to video. So there's your two bolts in the back side of your armrest that come out. It's always good to keep your bolts and nuts and stuff together. Alright, so next, okay, so we've got the armrest here. Next we've got this little thing, we're going to pop it up. And that's what we're looking like. So this thing just pops off. So we take our Phillips head. And it's a good idea to remember where everything goes. Keep the proper bolts with the proper stuff. Fortunately for me, I have two cars just the same, so if I mess up, I can go over and look at the other one. So these come out, and set this down for a second. Alright, so you got your bolts out, and next you're gonna know, hey, we're loose, okay? So what you're gonna do is just pull up and over the emergency brake, and you'll probably look down and find 14 years worth of stuff. That you haven't seen in forever. Cleveland Brown's head. Anyway, I'm going to clean that up a little bit, and I'll be back in a second. But basically, there's the armrest is off with those 4 bolts. Alright folks, we're going to go to step 2. We're going to take the ashtray, we're going to press down, zoom on in here, we're going to press down on this, and it's going to pull right out. And after that, let's see, you're going to find, there's one. And I don't know if you can see the other one, but it's back there. So there's going to be 2 bolts that you're going to take out. Just Phillips head, so you're going to screw them out. Alright, so you get those 2 bolts out, and then you're going to just pull this out. You don't want to yank it out because your cigarette lighter, and also you want to make sure you hold on to these plastic clips. One of them I don't see, but hopefully it'll be here. So you're going to want to unplug your cigarette lighter, and it's located right there. I mean right here. And basically just Alright, so when you pull this thing out of here after you remove the 2 bolts, this back piece, you unplug the lighter, and so this little piece there is connected to this, so you just need to push that down and pull it off, and at that point you will be exposed to this bottom part there. So those 2 bolts go into there. We're going to go ahead and take this thing off. It just screws off. Basically, I probably should have taken this off earlier. It just kind of gets in the freaking way. Alright, so next, once we've gotten the ashtray out, the 2 bolts, unplug the lighter thing, there's another 2 bolts that you're going to see right here. Just going to take that out. And then you take the second one. Alright, now I'm going to come over to right here, and you're going to I've already taken the one off the other side. And at that point, you are going to be able to move this thing. Let me set this down. I need both hands. Now I found the emergency brake is going to want to get in your way. At least for me it does. So I just kind of turn it and wiggle with it, and eventually right around the corner you can get it out. So just by, basically I lift up and then turn to it. So this part actually usually for me will come out right around this part here. Once I've lifted it, kind of turned it, lifted, and I can get it right up over the, you got to get the leather part over your shifter. And at that point, you are looking at the ability to kind of get up under. But when you get up, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. There's going to be 2 bolts, and you're going to be able to see them holding on the radio. At that point, you're going to take this right here, and maybe if I lay down under there, I'll try to show you. But that's going to be the last step to removing and then unplugging the stock stereos. I'm going to try to show you guys. If you'll look, there's some metal, you'll see underneath my thumb there's like a metal frame, and also above it there is a metal frame. Now this frame is sharp as all hell, so you guys really want to be careful when you're messing around in here. But you want to take the small socket wrench, 8mm, so it's, I don't know how well you guys will be able to see, but it's limited space in here, okay? Very limited space. And you also want to watch those sharp edges. But underneath where this thing is going here, where I'm turning it, okay, I'm on the bolt. I'm going to try to put under here. I don't know if you can see, but when you if you lay down across the seat and look up, you're going to see, as I showed on the radio, those 2 bolts. But you're really going to be limited in space there. So this size is going to be about perfect. And what you'll do is just take the 2 bolts out. But I do want to remind everyone that this metal here and also here, when you're trying to get to these bolts up there, I don't know. Anyway, I think that may be one, and that may be the other. But once you lay down, you'll get to them. But be careful with those things. And anyway, I'm gonna screw this thing out and or unbolt this thing, and then I'll show you what it looks like taken out. All right, I got these 2 bolts out, and I just want to say again that if you're fiddling around up in there, you may want to even wear some gloves, although it's hard to tell. But that metal in there is sharp, sharp, razor sharp. So please be careful if anyone's messing with this. If you've got the time, just take your time and just relax. Alright guys, I pulled that out. What I did before was I kind of reached down under here, and once again very carefully I removed the black or the white plastic housing to give me a little room, and I've got to get under there too. You want to unplug. It's a circular, I guess it's your antenna, and it's on the left side here. The antenna wire, at least through the back, doesn't really stretch as far as the initial plug and play for the radio, so you have to kind of get up under there and tug it out. It's in there pretty firm, so I'm going to try to get under there. I don't think I'll be able to hold the camera, but I'm going to try to get in there and pull that out, and then get this whole unit out, and then we'll be done. Alright. So here is the head unit. The plug is going to come out of here. The tricky part, what I think, at least getting out for me, since the first time I did it was recently, this piece right here is right here. As you'll see, this wire goes behind this metal, so it doesn't have as much room as, see, this thing stretches out a pretty good little ways. So this thing, what you want to do before you pull the radio out, and like I say, this shit, I keep saying it, is sharp, sharp, sharp. But you want to reach under there where this is, and just kind of, when you reach under, just kind of pull it out. And it took me a little bit of effort, but I minded myself to be careful not to cut myself. I did cut myself a little bit yesterday, right there. So, but anyway, so at that point, once you've removed that and unplugged, you've got the stereo system out. So there's really not a whole lot of tools you need, and you just have to kind of remove some parts. It's all really simple, but there are some parts that are tricky. Getting the unit out initially with this thing was a really kind of a pain for me. It's even with the right tools, you kind of have to take your time and just be patient. I mean, it's not crazy, but it is difficult, and pulling the radio out definitely was a little tricky to get the antenna wire out. But so there you go.